Every night, your mind constructs entire worlds, landscapes that don't exist, conversations with people who aren't there, emotional storms that feel more real than your waking life. And then, the moment you open your eyes, nothing. Just silence. A blank space where the night should have been. While some people wake up carrying their dreams like vivid memories, recounting elaborate plots over breakfast, analyzing symbols, writing them down in journals, others wake to a complete void. No fragments, no feelings, just the awareness that time has passed, and somewhere in that darkness, something happened that they'll never recover. Here's the paradox. We spend a third of our lives asleep, and during that time our brains are extraordinarily active. REM sleep, where most vivid dreams occur, shows brain activity nearly identical to waking consciousness. The stories are there, the imagery is there, the emotional processing is happening. But for some people, none of it makes the journey back. So why do certain minds refuse to remember their dreams? Is it a glitch in memory? A difference in brain chemistry? Or is there something deeper at work? A psychological mechanism? A protective barrier? A choice the unconscious mind makes without asking permission? Today, we'll decode the psychology behind dreamless waking. Not just the neuroscience of memory consolidation, but the emotional architecture that determines what we allow ourselves to remember. Because sometimes, forgetting isn't a failure of recall. Sometimes, it's a strategy, a way the mind protects itself from what it's not ready to face. And what we'll discover is this: the people who don't remember their dreams aren't experiencing less, they're processing differently. And that difference reveals something profound about how they move through the world when they're awake. Why do some people wake up and immediately lose the thread of their dreams, even when they try to hold on? The answer begins with something psychologists call state-dependent memory. The principle that information encoded in one state of consciousness is most easily retrieved in that same state. Dreams occur in a neurochemical environment completely different from waking life. Different neurotransmitters are dominant. The prefrontal cortex, which handles logic and linear narrative, is quieter. The amygdala, which processes emotion, is louder. When you wake up, you're not just opening your eyes. You're transitioning between two distinct modes of existence. And for some people, that transition is abrupt, immediate. The brain shifts gears so quickly that the dream state doesn't have time to encode itself into the kind of memory that survives the crossing. But here's where it gets interesting. This abruptness isn't random. Research shows that people who don't remember their dreams tend to have lower activity in the temporoparietal junction during sleep, the brain region responsible for attention and sensory processing. In simpler terms, their brains aren't flagging dream content as important enough to store. Think about how memory works in waking life. You don't remember every moment of your commute to work, every conversation in the elevator, every sensation of brushing your teeth. Your brain filters relentlessly, keeping only what it deems significant. Dreams follow the same rule. If your unconscious mind doesn't mark the dream as worth remembering, it dissolves the moment you wake, like writing in sand as the tide comes in. For people who don't remember dreams, the brain has effectively decided this processing can happen in the background. You don't need to be consciously aware of it. The emotional work is being done. Fears are being metabolized, memories are being reorganized, stress is being discharged, but you don't need to witness it. You don't need the story. And there's something else, something less mechanical and more psychological. People who don't remember their dreams often share a common trait. They are extremely present-focused, grounded, pragmatic. They don't spend much time dwelling on the past or spinning scenarios about the future. They live in the immediate, tangible now. And dreams by their nature are the opposite: fluid, symbolic, irrational, unmoored from time. For a mind that thrives on clarity and control, dreams can feel like noise, like static, like opening a door to a room that doesn't follow any rules. And so the mind does what it does best. It closes that door, not consciously, not deliberately, but quietly, consistently, every single morning. But let's go deeper, because this isn't just about memory or brain chemistry. This is about identity, about the kind of self you've built and what that self allows in. For people who don't remember their dreams, there's often an emotional architecture built around certainty. They prefer things they can verify, measure, hold in their hands. Ambiguity feels uncomfortable. Open-ended questions feel unfinished. And dreams are nothing if not ambiguous, strange, layered, resistant to single interpretations. So forgetting becomes a form of self-protection. Not from nightmares necessarily, but from the uncertainty of not knowing what something means. Because if you remember a dream, you have to do something with it. You have to wonder. You have to sit with the possibility that your unconscious is trying to tell you something you're not ready to hear. Consider this. A woman wakes up every morning with no memory of her dreams. She describes herself as logical, solution-oriented, someone who doesn't do feelings unless there's a clear reason for them. Her life is structured, her relationships are stable. She solves problems efficiently and moves on. But beneath that structure, there's something else. A quiet, unacknowledged fear of what might emerge if she slowed down enough to listen. Because dreams don't follow her rules. They don't wait for permission. They don't care if she's ready. They simply show her what's there. The unprocessed grief, the unnamed longing, the parts of herself she's worked so hard to organize away. For her, not remembering isn't a failure. It's a boundary, a way of saying, I'll deal with what I can see, what I can name, what I can control. The rest can stay in the dark. And here's the paradox. She's not avoiding emotions. She's managing them in the only way that feels safe, by keeping the unconscious unconscious, by letting the mind do its work in silence, without her having to watch. For people like this, waking without dreams doesn't feel like loss. It feels like relief, like closing a book they never asked to open, like starting each day clean, unburdened by symbols they don't know how to decode. But what they don't realize is this. The dreams are still speaking. They're still processing. The emotional work is still happening. They're just not in the room when it does. And over time, that distance, that refusal to witness what the unconscious is trying to show them, can create a gap between who they are and who they're becoming, between what they feel and what they allow themselves to know. So what's really happening here? What is the deeper pattern beneath the forgetting? It's not that these people lack imagination or emotional depth. It's not that they're disconnected from their inner lives. It's something more subtle, more protective. They've learned to trust the conscious mind more than the unconscious, to value what can be explained over what can only be felt. And often, that learning happened early, in childhoods where emotions were unpredictable, where feelings led to chaos rather than comfort, where the safest strategy was to stay rational, to stay in control, to not let the messy, irrational parts of yourself take over. Dreams represent the part of the psyche that can't be controlled, that won't be logical, that insists on speaking in images and metaphors and feelings that don't translate cleanly into words. And for someone who survived by staying in control, that's not freedom. That's a threat. So the rebellion isn't against dreams themselves. It's against the vulnerability of not knowing, against the discomfort of sitting with something that resists analysis, against the possibility that if they let themselves remember, they might have to feel things they've spent years keeping at bay. Here's the paradox. It's not the dreams they fear, it's what remembering the dreams would reveal. The unspoken grief, the unacknowledged anger. The part of them that wants something they've convinced themselves they shouldn't want. The dreams aren't the problem. The problem is that dreams tell the truth, and the truth doesn't always align with the life they've built. There's a man who hasn't remembered a dream in 15 years. He's successful, disciplined, respected. He describes his mind as quiet. No intrusive thoughts, no spiraling anxieties, no dramatic emotional swings. He's proud of this. He's built a life on this stability. But when pressed, he admits something. He doesn't remember his dreams, but he wakes up exhausted, tense, like he's been working all night on something he can't name. And sometimes, for no reason he can identify, he feels a strange sadness in the morning, a heaviness that lifts by noon, but is always there when he first opens his eyes. This is the shadow, the part of the psyche that continues to speak, even when you refuse to listen. The dreams he doesn't remember are still doing their work, processing, integrating, trying to show him what he's not letting himself see. But without conscious access, the insights can't land. The emotions can't be metabolized fully. They just circulate, just beneath the surface, waiting. And here's what's quietly tragic about this. These people aren't cold or unfeeling. They're often deeply sensitive, deeply attuned. But somewhere along the way, they learned that sensitivity was dangerous, that feelings were unreliable, that the only safe place to live was in the waking mind, where things made sense. So they don't remember their dreams not because they can't, but because on some level, they've chosen not to. The unconscious respects that choice. It stops trying to get their attention. It processes in silence, and they wake up each day unburdened by visions they didn't ask for. But the cost is this: they never get to see the full picture. They never get to witness the stories their psyche is telling about who they are and what they need. They live in permanent daylight, never quite understanding why the shadows feel so long. But here's what we miss when we pathologize this pattern. There's a kind of wisdom in it too, because the truth is, not everyone needs to remember their dreams. Not everyone benefits from constant introspection, from endlessly analyzing the symbolic language of the unconscious. Some people function best when they let their minds do the work without supervision, when they trust the process without needing to witness every step. The people who don't remember their dreams have often built lives of extraordinary clarity. They're decisive. They're grounded. They don't get lost in abstraction or paralyzed by too many interpretations. They wake up and they move forward. And there's something beautiful in that. Something functional. The question isn't whether they should remember their dreams. The question is whether the forgetting is serving them or whether it's costing them something they can't afford to lose. Because the danger isn't in the forgetting itself. The danger is in what happens when the unconscious stops trying to communicate altogether. When the gap between the waking self and the deeper self becomes so wide that you lose access to your own intuition, your own emotional truth. When you become so committed to control that you forget how to be surprised by yourself. The hidden longing beneath this pattern isn't for more dreams. It's for permission. Permission to not always have the answer. Permission to feel something without needing to explain it. Permission to trust that what emerges from the dark isn't a threat. It's information. It's a part of you that's been speaking all along, just in a language you forgot how to hear. And maybe that's the real insight here. The people who don't remember their dreams aren't broken. They're not missing something essential. They've just learned to navigate life through the front door, while others enter through the back. Both paths lead inward. Both are valid, but both have blind spots. If you're someone who doesn't remember your dreams, you don't need to force it. You don't need to journal or set alarms or train yourself into remembering. But you might ask yourself this: what am I protecting by keeping that door closed? What would I have to feel if I let myself remember? And is the protection still worth the cost? Because the unconscious is patient. It will keep processing, keep working, keep holding what you're not ready to face, but it's also loyal. If you never ask it to speak louder, it won't. It will honor your boundary, and you'll keep waking to silence. But if you ever feel ready, if you ever want to peek behind that door, it will be there, waiting, with stories you've been living all along, just outside your awareness. Maybe the people who don't remember their dreams aren't forgetting. Maybe they're just not ready to remember yet. And maybe that's okay. Because the mind knows what it can hold, and what it needs to set down, and what it's waiting for the right moment to reveal. The dreams will be there when you're ready. Until then, they'll keep working in the dark, doing what they've always done, keeping you whole, even when you're not watching.